Trent Williams free, and Sporting News just confirmed that the Chicago Bears are going after that move. Folks, this is not some Twitter rumor. This is not random off-season speculation. ESPN and the beat reporters out in Halas Hall are tracking this in real time, and the logic that connects Trent Williams to Caleb Williams is so obvious that if Ryan Poles is not on the phone with San Francisco right now, there is a serious problem inside this organization. First, we're going to talk about Trent Williams and the future of Caleb's blind side. Story number 2 is about Tyson Bagent's future in Chicago, which just caught fire. And story number 3, get ready, because there is a name in this draft that nobody in Chi-Town is talking about enough. And if Poles pulls this off the right way, in 3 years, we're going to look back at that pick as the moment everything changed for this franchise. Nobody saw it coming, absolutely nobody. But first, if you really believe the Bears are building something special in Chicago, hit like on this video and subscribe right now, because this is the Bears family, and this family does not miss a thing. Bear down, Trent Williams. Look at what is going on around the NFL right now. The San Francisco 49ers just declined the $10 million option in Trent Williams' contract. And that means one of the best left tackles this league has seen in the last 2 decades is free to negotiate. Free. A player who has been selected to the Pro Bowl 12 times, 3 times first-team All-Pro, and who even in the 2025 season was named second-team All-Pro is on the market. And let me ask you this, where is Ryan Poles at this moment? Because if the Chicago Bears are not on the phone with San Francisco right now, we have a serious problem. I believe, and I'm saying this with every ounce of conviction in my body, that the most critical position the Bears have to lock down to protect the future of this franchise is not wide receiver. It is not corner, it is left tackle. And let me explain why. Ozzie Trapillo, the Bears' starting left tackle, tore a patellar tendon in the playoffs. In the playoffs, folks, that is not some minor injury. That is the type of injury that can take a player out for an entire season, and in Trapillo's case, the doubts about whether that level of play will be there when coming back are real and legit. Chicago brought back Braxton Jones on a 1-year deal, but let me ask you this, and I really want you to think it through. Are you willing to put Caleb Williams' physical safety in the hands of a swing tackle like Braxton Jones during a season where the Bears have real Super Bowl aspirations? I am not, and you should not be either. Now let us talk Trent Williams. This man is 37 years old. Yes, 37. And there are going to be people saying that is too old, that the prime is gone. But let me say this. Look at the numbers. Look at the tape. Look at how this man kept dominating in 2025, getting another Pro Bowl nod and another second-team All-Pro. When was the last time you saw a 37-year-old tackle still in the All-Pro conversation? That is the level we're talking about. Sporting News already put it out there publicly. The Bears should go after a Trent Williams trade, and that logic is flawless. Chicago is coming off a historic season under Ben Johnson. Year 1 as head coach, Caleb Williams showed flashes of greatness that made the whole city of Chi-Town start believing for real. They got to the playoffs. They took down the Green Bay Packers in their own house at Soldier Field 31-27 in a wild card game that was one of the best moments we have lived as fans in years. This organization believes it can make a Super Bowl run in 2026. And if they truly believe that, then protecting the blind side of the franchise quarterback cannot be a weakness. It just cannot, because look at what is going on in the NFC North. The Detroit Lions have a rock-solid offensive line. The Minnesota Vikings have been steadily investing in the trenches. The Green Bay Packers, those miserable folks up in Green Bay, are still competitive. This division is not going to give you a break. And the Bears need to walk into 2026 with their house in order. Now, here's the logistical question I need you to help me answer. What would it cost Chicago to bring in Trent Williams? Because the 49ers already declined that $10 million option, which means the base salary for 2026 is the last guaranteed year of the current deal. If Williams wants more guarantees and asks for a trade, Chicago would have to work something out with San Francisco on the draft pick compensation package. And is it worth it? I believe it is. Absolutely is. Because the price of not having an elite left tackle protecting Caleb Williams could end up being way more expensive. An injury to the franchise quarterback who carries all of this city's hope. And I do not even want to picture that scenario. The Packers are still building around Jordan Love. The Lions lost some momentum after the Super Bowl. The Vikings have Sam Darnold as the option, and we all know how that movie ended last time. While the other teams in the North keep trying to figure out their own mess, the Bears have a window, a real window, to take over this division. But that window is not going to stay open forever. Trent Williams could be the last big pillar this offense needs to truly be elite. And if the Bears land that deal, I guarantee the entire city goes nuts. Because in Chicago, people understand what it means to have a dominant trench. Remember 85? Remember the monsters of the Midway? This city respects the big dogs that go to work in the trenches, and Trent Williams is the best of this generation. Bear down, Chicago. Bear down. But if that already has you on the edge of your seat, hang on, because what comes next has to do with a backup quarterback whose future in Chicago just got set on fire. Tyson Bagent, Joshua Dobbs. Let us talk about something that is still a hot topic inside Halas Hall and has not gotten nearly enough attention over these last few days. Tyson Bagent, the Bears' backup quarterback, the kid out of Shepherd University who won the heart of this whole city with performances nobody saw coming, might be living the last few weeks in that navy and orange uniform. And let me say this without being dramatic, just looking at the cold, hard facts, Ryan Poles already said it out loud back in February. They have already gotten calls from other teams asking about Bagent. Poles said it clearly. We have received some calls. The hard part is what Ben thinks about Tyson, what I think about Tyson, what that locker room thinks about Tyson. It is a really tough decision, but for Tyson too. I think there would be a chance to go and produce for another team and do great things, but you have to balance the short term and the long term. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you heard a general manager talk like that about a player that supposedly is not on the market? Exactly. That is not the language of somebody who has everything locked up. That is the language of somebody actively weighing whether it makes sense to keep Bagent or move on. Now, what changed over the last few days that brought this whole thing back to the front burner? The New England Patriots announced they are planning to release backup quarterback Joshua Dobbs. Ian Rappaport from NFL Network reported that on March 23rd, and Colby Colwell from Windy City wasted no time connecting the dots. If Dobbs hits the market, the Bears could easily be interested in bringing that arm in as a straight-up replacement for Bagent. Think this through. The Bears already extended Case Keenum. Keenum, who over the last 4 years has thrown exactly 4 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions, has clearly transitioned into more of a mentor than an on-field quarterback. And that is fine. That is what you want when you have Caleb Williams as QB1. You need somebody to guide, to prep, to pass down experience. But that QB2 spot, the quarterback who has to walk in and win games if Caleb goes down, that role is critical, and that is where Dobbs changes the whole equation. Let us look at Dobbs' profile. 6 years in the NFL. Has played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars, Cleveland Browns, Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals, Minnesota Vikings, San Francisco 49ers, and New England Patriots. A journeyman who has seen different systems, who has been under real pressure in real situations, who has 15 career starts, even though only 3 of those ended in wins. Not a star. Nobody is calling that person an ace, but we are talking about 3,346 passing yards, 17 passing touchdowns, 515 rushing yards, and 8 rushing scores. An athletic quarterback, somebody who can make things happen with the legs, and that has real value in today's league. I think that if the Bears can bring Dobbs in on a minimum or near minimum deal, and at the same time open up the market for Bagent and bring back a draft pick in return, that is a smart GM move, and Ryan Poles has already shown being capable of making smart moves. But here's the part I really want you to process. Tyson Bagent is not just a name on the depth chart. That player is loved in that locker room. Ben Johnson admires that work. Poles admires that work. And the Chicago fan base saw Bagent compete in a way nobody expected when the moment came. Moving on is not just a math decision. It carries real emotional weight inside this organization. On top of all of that, The Bears are also exploring draft options. Rutgers wide receiver Athan Kaliak-Manis, who is actually a quarterback, is coming into the Chicago facility as part of the local pro days. North Dakota quarterback Cole Payton already sat down with the organization at the scouting combine. That tells me Poles is not closing any door. Every option is on the table at the same time. What does all this mean? That inside the Chicago Bears quarterback room, nothing is locked in beyond Caleb Williams. And that is not automatically a bad thing. It means the organization is doing the homework, trying to build the strongest support system possible around the franchise quarterback. But for Tyson Bagent, the clock is ticking. Let me throw this at you. Would you rather have the Bears hold on to Bagent for loyalty and culture, or trade Bagent for a pick and bring in Dobbs if that makes the roster more competitive? Think that through, because that is what I want you dropping in the comments at the end of this video. But now comes the really wild part, because I still have not talked about the secondary, and what is coming in this draft could end up being one of the best steals we have seen in years if the Bears execute the plan the right way. This is the reality Chicago Bears fans have to accept heading into the 2026 draft. This team's secondary has two massive holes to fill. Kevin Byard III is gone. Jaquan Brisker is gone. Two starting safeties out the door in the offseason, and now Chicago has to rebuild that spot from scratch, or at least that is what it looks like from the outside. Now it is not all doom and gloom. The Bears signed Kobe Bryant in free agency, and that was a solid move. Bryant is a steady player, knows Ben Johnson's defense, and can fit what Chicago wants to do schematically, but Kobe Bryant alone cannot be the entire answer. Not when there are two holes in that safety room, and that is where Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety out of the University of Toledo, comes in. Luke Easterling from Athlon Sports projected the Bears to take McNeil-Warren with the number 25 pick in the 2026 draft, calling it an ideal scenario for Chicago. And let me tell you why this could end up being one of the best picks Ryan Poles ever makes as a general manager. First off, the player. McNeil-Warren is a safety with size, range, and playmaking ability. Has flown a bit under the radar during this whole draft process, probably because the tape came out of Toledo, which is not exactly Alabama or Ohio State, but the scouts who have really dug into the film are saying this player could have been a top 20 pick if the same skill set had been on display at a big-time school. And that, my friends, is exactly the type of value a smart GM looks for on draft night, a true first-round talent who slides toward the back end of round one for market reasons, not because of real talent issues. Easterling called McNeil-Warren a heavy-hitting presence on the back end with a combo of size and range that fits perfectly with what this Chicago defense needs. Ben Johnson, even though the rep is all about offensive genius, understands that winning in the NFL requires a legit defense. And the Bears have the richest defensive tradition in the entire NFC North. The monsters of the Midway, Dick Butkus, Mike Singletary, Brian Urlacher, Julius Peppers. This franchise has built championships on defensive nastiness, and it is time to get back to that. I believe that if McNeil-Warren is on the board at pick 25 and the Bears pull the trigger, that is going to be one of those draft moments that in 3 years we look back on as the night polls proved the scouting department really knows talent. Because in a draft where a bunch of teams are going to be chasing wide receivers and corners in round one, an elite safety sliding because of the name on the college jersey is exactly the kind of steal that defines GM careers. But I also want to be straight with you, because that is what we do here. There is risk. There's always risk when you bet a first-round pick on a small school player. Remember some of those first-rounders that were supposed to change everything and ended up doing nothing? I do, and Bears fans do too. Here's the difference this time: context. This is not the Trubisky era when the organization was basically winging it and making calls with no real long-term vision. This is the Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles era. Two people who have shown there is a coherent plan and a long-view blueprint to build something sustainable in Chicago. Poles has hit on draft decisions already, and if the scouts are grading McNeil-Warren as a top 20 player trapped in a pick 25 slot, then I am good riding with that process. Let us stack that up quickly against the rest of the North. The Detroit Lions took big swings on draft day under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, and that got them to a Super Bowl. The Minnesota Vikings under Kevin O'Connell have made bold moves that led to competitive seasons. The Green Bay Packers, and it hurts to even say it, found Jordan Love and are now building a roster around that quarterback. Those teams all made draft decisions people questioned in the moment, and a lot of those decisions turned out to be the right ones. Why can't the Bears do the same with McNeil Warren? I am telling you right now. If Chicago walks into the draft targeting Emmanuel McNeil Warren at 25, and that player turns into what the scouts are projecting, the Bears are going to have one of the most promising secondaries in the NFC. And when you put a legit defense behind an offense led by Caleb Williams and orchestrated by Ben Johnson's brain, that is not just a competitive team, that is a real contender. This city has been waiting way too long for another Super Bowl. Way too long, and every single piece this organization puts in place is one step closer to that dream. McNeil Warren could be one of those pieces, and if the Bears grab that safety at 25, you are going to hear Chi-Town explode, celebrating that pick in real time. All right, we are at the end of this video, and I need you to lock in because there are 3 questions I need answered in the comments right now. First question, should the Chicago Bears make the trade for Trent Williams to lock down Caleb Williams' blindside? Even if it means giving up draft picks. I already laid out my take, now I need yours. Let me know if you are on board, if you think that is way too risky, or if you have a better alternative. I want that debate right down here in the comments. Today, second question, does Tyson Bagent deserve to stay in Chicago, or should the Bears trade Bagent and bring in Joshua Dobbs as the new backup behind Caleb Williams? This is loyalty versus roster logic, and I know you have strong opinions about it. Do not hold back. Drop them in writing. Third question, do you trust Ryan Poles to find the answer in the secondary with Emmanuel McNeil Warren at pick 25? Or do you think Chicago needs a bigger, more established name to replace what walked out the door with Byard and Brisker? This is a question about faith in the process, and I want to know how many of you still fully trust what Poles is building. Look, these debates we have here are what make this channel different. This is not about empty headlines and hollow news. We are here to break things down, argue it out, and live all of this together as the Bears community. We are. Because this is not just some random YouTube channel. This is a family of fans who love the Chicago Bears with everything they have, who have suffered through the losses, who have celebrated the wins, and who truly believe the best chapter of this franchise is still ahead. And I want you to be part of that family. If you have not hit subscribe yet, this is the moment. Click that subscribe button right now. Turn on the little bell so you do not miss a single update, and hit like if this video gave you something valuable today. Every like, every subscription, every comment you drop here helps us keep bringing you the best Chicago Bears content on all of YouTube. This city does not quit, this franchise does not quit, and we are not quitting either. See you in the next video, family. Bear down, Chicago. Bear down forever.